Alyson.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Or I should say, good afternoon. You're in Philly, is that right?
That's correct. So it is afternoon for me, but good morning to you.
Good late morning. It's been a long morning here as well. So, yes, good day, good day.
Good day. My name is Sheila Watko, NBC Philadelphia. It is such a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm glad we can do this little chat here.
Me too. I really appreciate you taking the time and talking to me for a few minutes. I really loved the book. I listened to the audiobook version. Whenever someone writes it and they read it, and that's an option, I like to hear it from the author's voice.
Absolutely.
So it was really, really incredibly well done. I'm going to do a little intro here for our viewers.
Okay.
Okay. Alyson Stoner, mental health advocate, entrepreneur, actor, dancer, and now best-selling author. Big congratulations to you, Alyson.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I just saw yesterday we hit number 3 for the audiobook as a bestseller. So it's a very exciting time.
And the audiobook is how I consumed it, and it was excellent hearing your own story in your own voice. Alyson, I'm a fellow 2000s kid. I grew up as a big fan of yours. When you brought the Camp Rock tour to Camden, my sister and I were in the eighth row. I vividly remember we turned to each other and being like, Alyson is so talented. So hearing
That's
the
so
part
kind.
of the book and hearing like that was kind of a nice experience, I was glad because you were phenomenal to see in person and perform live.
Thank you. Yes, I think the book allows for all of the nuance and complexity for readers and listeners to have a more immersive experience. So you know all of the juicy, intimate details that were happening during those experiences growing up.
We've had a handful of books the last few years, kind of talking about what child stars kind of went through while we were watching them grow up before our eyes as we were growing up. Why was it important for you to share your story?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. I don't know if you realize, but if you notice this toddler to train wreck pipeline of young performers coming forward and sharing a very similar kind of downward spiral and regrouping after an unusual childhood experience, that's been happening repeatedly for over a century. Yet no one has given the audience all of the information so we can unpack the system of why this happens and what we can do to intervene. Because this is actually far more relevant than just child entertainers when we think of young athletes, young students, and the fact that in a very digitized world, we're all, if you have a Wi-Fi connection, if you've got a social media profile, navigating a lot of the experiences that were once reserved for public figures. Things like parasocial relationships, issues with digital privacy and safety, and mental health challenges that come with tech use and overuse. So I've been really moved by how much people are resonating with the fact that this story is not just about a young performer, it's about making sense of what it means to navigate the world in 2025. Hence the title Semi Well Adjusted.
It's a great title. It's so good. And you were saying how kind of looking back, you're kind of able to reflect now in writing this book on a lot of experience you've been through. I really like the part you wrote about in 2019. You did the work at dance as part of Missy Elliott's Video Vanguard Award, and you took it as an opportunity to kind of reclaim that experience. I was wondering now, I think in the last month, Phineas and Ferb, after 10 years off the air, is back, and you chose to rejoin the cast. I was wondering if you had a similar experience, if you chose to work on that as a way to reclaim that, or if it was simply a job.
Well, I appreciate the framing that it was a choice, and it reminds me that I do have some power in this. However, we do have to remember that we are under contracts, and while Phineas and Ferb is one of the brightest spots in my career experience, and there would be no doubt that I would want to rejoin, I also, as an actor, was not always empowered to decide. I was actually just trying to get gigs growing up and see what was available to me to make ends meet, right? So only 2% of actors are actually able to support themselves with acting alone. Everyone else has second and third jobs. So I think it's just important to recognize that maybe someone might perceive us having all of these opportunities flooding in, and really we're just trying to make sure we're employed and we can keep the lights on.
When you break down in the book the amount of money that goes to a stylist, your PR team, a manager, your family, it is crazy. I think was it 30 cents to the dollar take home?
Yes, and that can be more than another person. Some folks might only see 10 cents to the dollar, depending on how their teams are configured.
That is so insane. And the way you break it down, you're so open in the book. And I appreciate that. It really gives us an insight into what you went through and so many other people. And like you said, just navigating the world today. Now, one of your many hats is you're a certified mental health professional. You co-founded Movement Genius with your sister to help other people, everyday people just living their life, focus on their mental well-being. Why did you want to start this company? Why was this important to you?
Yes, well, we noticed such a marked gap in the wellness space. First, we tend to separate mental and physical health, but the mind and body are deeply connected. We can see that actually. My book was number 3 on the list, and right above it was The Body Keeps the Score, and right above that was The Anxious Generation. And I thought, my book is kind of like if book 1 and 2 had a baby. We have to recognize that the stresses we experience get stored in our body unless we have the tools to process, express, and release them on a daily basis. And not all of us can join, full-length yoga classes or work out for an hour a day. And so what can we do to have those micro resets to signal to our body, hey, it's safe, we're going to be okay, and or to address really valid challenges that are happening around us and to us. So I wanted to make sure that our tools were accessible, that they were designed by a variety of people who have a variety of skill sets and expertise, and that they're delivered in a way that's really easy to use. So we have therapist-led content and community classes online and in person, and it's been truly a joy to see the same folks who started with us 5 years ago still come into class and reporting the changes they're experiencing in their lives, their relationships, new jobs, etc.
It's such a good idea, and I'm kind of surprised it didn't really exist before. It makes it accessible for everyone. So thank you for bringing that to the world. I think it's something that's very needed today. And I saw on Instagram you're working on your 7th certification to become a mental health coordinator for TV, stage, and film sets. What would be your goal in that type of role on set?
Yes, so this is really exciting advancements in our particular industry. You might have heard of intimacy coordination becoming standardized. Now, mental health coordination addresses the very unique workplace factors related to entertainment. So, for example, if you're on set and a cast and a crew are reenacting very traumatizing material for the entire day, but no one is there to help support the actor get into or out of character, or to be available for the crew who might be reminded of lived experience related to the topic that is in the scene. Or if we're thinking about audiences at home, what is the impact of this content going to be on people? A mental health coordinator can help set up the protocols and make sure that we're telling these stories still in the compelling and artistic ways and in ethical, conscientious ways that think about the well-being of everyone involved.
It's a role I didn't realize existed, and I think it is so important. And I think it's really cool that you're working on that to just kind of expand the ways you're helping people in the world that you're very familiar with. In the book, you wrote that at early dance auditions, you would sometimes take the kids who were not dancers and practice with them in the corner, even if it meant maybe you would lose the part to them. That part really struck me. I think it speaks to your character, even since you were such a young child. And it made me think, wow, that little girl helping the other kids who it didn't come so easily to would be so proud of you today.
Wow.
It
You're the first person to pick up on that moment in the book, and that means so much. Thank you
I
for connecting those dots.
I think it's beautiful. I literally, as I listened, I wrote it down. That was one of the first things I wrote down because it so touched me. And it
Hmm.
got me thinking, looking back at 7-year-old Alyson just starting out, teenage Alyson kind of struggling, 20-something Alyson, what would each of them, maybe something different for each, maybe it's the same, what would each of them be proud of today, Alyson, for?
Oh, ah. All ages, I think, would be proud of current Allison finally understanding my conscious agency in how I design my life. And, of course, there are so many things that are truly out of our control. There's a lot that we can do to release the old stories that have been swimming through our minds for years, to try new habits and to shift our lifestyle and to actually see a difference not only in our own health and well-being, but how we show up in communities. And I think all ages would be proud of my best attempt, which is imperfect and flawed, but still my best attempt every day at trying to be semi well adjusted despite literally everything.
I think so too. I even thought the parts where you're kind of finding religion, and I was raised Catholic, not there's a lot in today's Catholicism, but I was raised that way. Got the guilt to show for it. And you mentioned finding Christianity, but it felt like you always fell back on the helping aspect and giving. And I
Mm.
thought even that version of younger Allison would be very proud of who you are today. I feel like that was the common
Aw.
thread through your story is looking out for other people, sometimes to a fault, but
Sure, right? Finding the balance, making sure that we can take care of ourselves, but also not neglect the important needs of everyone around us. I think, healing for me has shifted from being an individual act to a very communal pursuit at this point. And I'm grateful to know that all of our lives are deeply interconnected. And, if I'm doing well, but you're not, then I'm actually not doing so well. I need to see the whole community feeling empowered with the tools that everyone deserves to manage everyday life.
and here you are putting the actions to your words. Allison, thank you so much. It was really lovely to talk to you. I've been a fan since Mike's super short show, so this is very cool, which I almost feel bad saying that. Like I felt bad after Jeanette McCurdy's book too, because I was like, I loved what they were doing, but they were going through so much pain.
Mm.
But so I almost feel guilty for, but I did love, you're very talented. And as a kid, I like wanted to be you. So reading this is so crazy.
Thank you. Yes. This is where we just get to hold multiple truths at once. Multiple things can be true. And I think also meeting people and hearing their takeaways from the book, both about projects from childhood, but also my present work in adulthood and just being on my healing journey, they're recognizing, okay, I drew inspiration from this character, even though you might not have written it, but you were the one portraying the character. And also, I had no idea that you were going through similar things within your family that I was dealing with. And so I think it's humanizing. And if we're going to pay attention to the human in front of us, we're going to very quickly see life is complicated. So all the layers, you've listened and you've understood now. There are lots of layers in the book, and I'm just thrilled that people are really connecting with it.
I'm so happy that you wrote it for us to connect with. So thank you so much for sharing your story and being so open because I do think it'll help other people on their own healing journey. And the marketing, 10 out of 10. It's so good. The Instagram marketing. Thank you, Allison. It was so nice to meet you and
You
talk to you.
too.
And I really, really love the book. And congratulations on top three audiobooks and best selling. I think on New York Times and AP, right?
Yes, yes.
Congratulations.
Yay. Thank you so much.
So nice to meet you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. You too. Take
Have a
care.
wonderful day. Bye.